Alright, so we are all set up and ready to do our bromine synthesis. What we have here are all the chemicals that we're going to need in order to do the reaction. Sulfuric acid, hydrochloric acid, trichloroisocyanuric acid, which from here on out we're just going to call TCCA. We've got sodium bromide, which I've already got dissolved in water. This is a saturated solution of sodium bromide that I pulled off of my bromide recycling. So we'll be using this as a source of bromide for the reaction. And last but not least, sodium thiosulfate. Do not make bromine unless you've got some of this on hand, because trust me, it immediately will convert bromine into bromide. So if you get bromine on you by any accident, if anything happens, you're going to be really glad you've got some sodium thiosulfate solution ready to go. Over here, we've just got all the equipment side of things, glassware, the coolant reservoir with the pump, distillation head, the Liebig column. I prefer to use my 400 millimeter Liebig for this. All of the receiver and the adapters, and a fan for drawing away the bromine vapors that this will inevitably generate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set up the apparatus, and then we will come back as soon as that's ready, and we'll add in all the chemicals and we'll get this thing going. Piece of tubing on a funnel. Going to want to be very careful with this though, because it's not going to let a lot of gas out past it. You don't want things getting crazy in there. That's right. Nice and calm. There we go. Perfect. Alright. So now all we're going to do is turn on the heat. Initially we're going to turn it all the way up. The goal is to distill all the bromine that will be generated out of here into our receiver. So we want to get it where it's nice and boiling and the reaction's going full tilt. However, that being said, it is possible for this to boil over, and trust me, you don't want that to happen. I've had 2 boilovers in my life, and one of them was doing this synthesis, and it was ugly. It was probably the worst accident I've ever had. So, don't do that. I have found it necessary to cover everything up with aluminum foil, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, the distillation will just take forever. You can use a heating mantle for this, which is probably actually be better than doing it this way, but I figured that heating mantles are something that not everybody has access to. But hot plates, yeah. And although you should stir it, since, again, I can never get this sludge to stir, I almost go so far as to say a regular old hot plate would work. I'd still put some stir bars in it to act as boiling chips, though. But anyway, since none of y'all are going to do this at home, it doesn't matter, right? Can't even say that with a straight face. Okay, so again, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up in foil. I will come back once things are moving along here, and we'll check in then. Alright, so I've got the reaction / boiling flask wrapped in foil. You can see here that it's already starting to heat up, and we're already starting to get some bubbling there. And I've got my little window here so I can see what's going on, because again, you don't want it to boil over. You'd be surprised you're able to cool it off very quickly just by lifting up the foil. That will actually do a lot more than you would think in order to keep it under control. I mean, of course, you can adjust the heat as well, but if you need to cool it down quicker than that, lift up the foil. Push comes to shove, of course. This thing is being held up here by the clamp. The hot plate can just be slid right out from underneath it, and it can cool off that way. So there's a couple of different ways to control this, and Now we just need to kick back and let the reaction happen. You can see that the condenser is already starting to get full of nice light haze of bromine vapor. And now if you are doing this, I mean, in any kind of indoor space, you would quickly find out that this is going to put out a lot of extra bromine vapor. That's what this fan is here for. When it gets started, turn this on and it can pull the excess out of here and disperse it such that it's not a problem. But yeah, this reaction is going to give off a lot of excess bromine vapor, so it would definitely have to be done outdoors or in a fume hood. And if it's done outdoors, it doesn't just magically disappear once it leaves the apparatus. You want something that is going to pull it away and disperse it as much as possible. Okay, well that didn't take long. So the reaction's proceeding nicely. Let's see if we can get a view here. What's going on in the distillation column. So we've already got bromine coming on over and collecting in the condenser. All the way down here. You can see it's dripping in there. We've got a nice rate of it coming over. Take a look here in the receiver. Very nice. So, it seems to be at a fairly steady state here, I think. Yeah, that looks good. So as the reaction goes on, the contents of the boiling flask will become lighter and lighter in color as more and more bromine is driven off. When the reaction is finally complete, you'll know it because there will be no more bromine condensing up here in the condenser, which looks like to be pretty much the state we've hit now. So I'm just going to let this boil for just a little bit longer to make sure we get everything out of there, just in case. Oh, no. Did I speak too soon? Ah, okay. Looks like it just moved down the column some here, down the distillation column. So, always want to double check before you decide it's done. If we've still got bromine condensing here, then we obviously don't want to stop it now. We want to keep going until there's no more bromine condensing and it's just water. Alright. This part is always not fun. That probably doesn't help much. Come on. Awesome. There we go. All right. Alright, and that is how you take down the apparatus after you're done making bromine. Alright, so now we've come to the point here where we're ready to separate out the bromine from the water. The separatory funnel here to do that with. Make sure that it's closed. Make sure that it's nice and tight. Make sure that you got ventilation. Careful. Nice and secure. Okay. Let it settle out here real good. And interesting. It shouldn't be opaque like that. It should be transparent. So I'm not really sure what happened there. But the bromine's alright. Now, the fun part. Okay, we fixed that minor problem. Let's try this again. Using the right cap this time. Point it away from us. Invert, open. Shake, open. Do not let pressure build up in this thing. Shake, open. Shake, open. Alright. Nice and tight. Just going to let it separate back out. There it goes. You can see that the acid layer is much darker. In fact, I'm going to actually add just a little bit more in there. Since there's fresh acid in here, watch out for pressure. Check the connection. Working with bromine and 98% sulfuric acid, you want to be very sure about everything. Continuously check things. Even though you're not doing this at home. But, you know. If you were a professional chemist doing this in a lab, you would absolutely want to check things frequently. You don't want any surprises. Make sure just to equilibrate our pressure. No surprises. Okay, is it separating now? It's starting to. Alright. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Okay. Set that back there. Okay, that's all fully separated out. Alright. This is my storage bottle for bromine. just neutralize this sulfuric acid like you would any other sulfuric acid. Just remember that it's contaminated with bromine. And that's it. The synthesis is done. You could dry it again with a second round of sulfuric acid if you feel like it's necessary, but I've never known it to be so. And our next reaction that we're going to be using this bromine with anyway is going to be done in water, so although I don't know how any could remain with this much sulfuric acid. If there are some slight traces, it's not a big deal. So, there you have it. The synthesis of elemental bromine. I hope you've enjoyed this. This concludes part 2 of From Bismuth to Bismuthate. The next one will be the actual synthesis of sodium bismuthate. Yay! We finally made it. So, thank you very much. Please comment, and until the next video, see you later.